All right, welcome back to Project Seawolf. Today we're on a different boat, and this is Captain Topher, and he has Sailing Mig, the YouTube channel, and we're on Mig today. And yeah, it's a beautiful little boat, and he's made a lot of the same decisions that I'm trying to go for. And I've noticed some people are wondering if it's even possible to go electric. And I'm gonna be talking to a true blue water sailor that has gone electric. And you know, few and far between, so I had to meet him. So, what kind of boat are we on?
This is a Lyle Hess design, North Sea 27. They are kind of the little sister of the Bristol Channel Cutter, which is probably more well known. North Seas, the North Sea 27 was designed to be an offshore sailboat that could go anywhere in the world, but you can put it on a trailer and take it on the highway without any special permits.
Amazing. And you bought this boat in
2020.
2020.
Yeah, September.
In California.
Yeah, in Alameda.
Oh my goodness. And you went offshore, and I understand you got to go watch these videos. Like he's offshore bailing out the boat. It's so scary.
Sailing Vessel Mig is the name of my channel, and when we bought it, my daughter and my daughter is also an offshore sailor, and we went down, repaired as much as we could, and our intention was to sail it offshore here to Washington State. And to do that, if you know about sailing that particular voyage, the sailing directions, the way to sail that voyage is to head out almost as far as Hawaii and avoid the North Pacific High, and then go north and then come back to the coast. And that was our intention, and yeah, that didn't work out so well.
I think because I've been doing a lot of ecology work off the coast, and part of that is mapping out the currents. And the California current is a very strong current that hits the Strait of Juan de Fuca and goes straight down. And that, I think that's probably part of the Baja Bash kind of system. It keeps you from going north comfortably along the coast.
It's kind of the opposite of what I'm most familiar with is the east coast of the U.S. and the Gulf Stream.
Oh, yeah.
And the Gulf Stream goes north.
Oh.
And this is, yeah, it's almost exactly the opposite. So I was familiar with, you know, how to avoid those currents and, you know, wind against current. And that's another problem over here is that often you get, you know, you get contrary wind and current. And so, yeah, you just want to head offshore and get out of that current. Unfortunately, we also have the North Pacific High that sits out there, and so you kind of have to sail south a little bit and around it and then go north. And you know, offshore voyages for me, that's what I like to do, so that did not deter us. But water pouring into the boat deters you.
That's true, yeah. I learned a lot about what I want to do with the prop shaft on my Seafarer from watching his videos, and now I get to see it in person, and that's freaking awesome. So we've already kind of gone around the outside. Do you want to talk about the outside of the boat? So you have a prop, and it's got a couple of different zincs on it.
Well, it did originally. It didn't have a zinc on it, and well, I think not originally, but when I bought the boat, and as a result, I think what happened, it probably had a shaft zinc, and the owner lived in San Diego and just didn't take care of the boat. And so the prop itself corroded, and you couldn't tell looking at it. It looked fine until I took it into the prop place, and they started to clean it up and then discovered that it was just corroded. It would have broke, for sure.
It was pink, right?
Yeah. It turns kind of a pink color when it has corrosion in it. And yeah, so I had to get a new prop. And then I thought, well, I'm going to put a prop zinc on the end, but the aperture between the cutlass bearing and the rudder on a North Sea is not big enough to allow for a long, you know, prop zinc. So, yeah. So what I have now is I have a cutter zinc, which is pretty cool. I can show it.
Yeah. Oh, you have another one?
Yeah, I've got 3 of them.
Cool. Yeah.
So this is a cutter zinc, and so these it costs about twice as much as one without the cutter, but I think it's worth it if you don't have an actual line cutter on your shaft.
You've been wrapped before.
I have, yeah.
Offshore.
I have offshore. Had to dive on it in cold North Pacific water.
And it was a drogue line.
Yeah.
So
it was my fault. I put my drogue off the bow in a storm as a sea anchor. Should have listened to my daughter.
Your daughter.
But anyway, yeah, this would have cut that. So yeah, it's a pretty handy little thing. Anyway, this is now up against my prop, and so that allows it to act as a zinc on the prop and on the shaft. So,
amazing.
Yeah. Pretty handy little piece of kit.
Definitely gonna get one of those. I think I have a lot more real estate than you do between my rudder and
yeah, more space to deal with there.
Yeah. Because I also have one of those bulb ends on the end of my prop. It's very corroded, but I know what kind of zinc it is now.
Yeah, and you can you can get all that from.
So I noticed we were doing some drone shots beforehand, which are probably playing now. Your boat has like these lines along it, but it's not made of wood.
Right, they're called lap strakes. And lap strakes are not just a aesthetic. They are aesthetic though. It looks
nice.
salty.
So
it
nice.
looks like, people think it's a wooden boat because of those. But the lap strakes actually add stiffness to the hull. They actually, well, anytime you add bends, it adds strength.
Mm-hmm.
So this little boat, because of those lap strakes, is a very strong boat. It actually, the hull also is very thick fiberglass. It was built in 1977. They were still overbuilding fiberglass boats at that point. They still weren't sure exactly how strong they were and
how thick it should be.
Yeah, and so it, on the flip side, it's a little heavy for a little boat.
That's fine.
The trade-off, in my opinion, for an offshore sailboat, especially a 27-foot offshore sailboat that you're going to take on a circumnavigation, I would rather get there in a longer amount of time safely.
Yeah.
And be able to throw a sea anchor off the bow and ride out pretty much any storm, short of a hurricane.
Yeah, we're not shooting to be sporty. We're shooting to get there.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm never in a hurry because, frankly, I like being offshore. I'm not about the landfall. I really am about being out there. So.
Being goal-oriented is probably one of the most dangerous traits of a sailor, I think, because it forces if you're goal-oriented, you start making decisions that are not safe or smart.
And I maybe take that to an extreme that other sailors don't. My family knows that there is a distinct possibility that I will set sail from here for Hawaii and end up in Fiji, because that's the way I do things. If I get good weather and I'm enjoying myself out there and it looks like I've got a good window all the way to Fiji, I've been to Hawaii. I don't need to do landfall in Hawaii if I can make it to Fiji. And I think that's the difference in, I enjoy your videos, and I really enjoyed watching your video where you mapped out your circumnavigation plans. Yeah. And my wife asked me, well, what's he got planned? I said, well, the long and the short of it is he wants to stop everywhere. He wants to see everything, and it's pretty cool.
That's kind of the point, because I want a lot of the reason why I wanted to circumnavigate is to see as many different wildlife species as possible.
Yeah,
and a lot of the places I'm going are designed so that I can pick up a very particular species that only lives on this island or something, and I know about these species, and I grew up hearing about these species, and I just want to go see them in real life. And that's the first time I went to Antarctica, and I stepped off the boat and I started seeing these species that I'd heard about all my life, and I just relive that every time I see a new species on a new island, and it's just incredible to sail to a place and then to see something you've only ever heard about.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
It's such a thrill, and that's the reason why.
And that's the difference in our two circumnavigations.
Yeah.
It would be cool actually to see, in a way, to watch two circumnavigations with completely different kind of goals.
Yeah.
My goal is I love to be offshore, And you know, I delivered sailboats for years and years, and this is sort of a delivery. I'm taking this boat and I'm delivering it to here, from here. And so I'll sail past a lot of stuff because I'm not really planning on, I mean, the stopping is just so my wife can come and visit me. And then I'll be heading back offshore. And that's.
It does mean I'm going to take a lot of years to do mine.
Yeah.
And that's fine because my fiance is going to be my wife then, because we're getting married in August.
Oh, congratulations. That's cool.
Yeah, just down the street. She's going for neurology in med school right now, and that is the long track.
Yeah.
It's so long to specialize. And so I've got a lot of time by myself anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make the most of it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm young too, so.
Hey, that can't be discounted.
I'll make a lot of dumb decisions, a lot of misinformed decisions, but I'll learn a lot along the way too. So let's do a little tour of what's going on in the boat.
There you go.
Yeah. So you've done this.
Yeah. All the wood. I redid all of that myself.
And you made these.
I made these. I made all the cushions
with
myself.
The buttons.
With the buttons. I did the whole thing. Actually, the foam as well. And this is all redesigned. If you look at, if anybody knows North Sea 27s, the older boats, this is one of the older ones, 1977. This part used to be right here. So the seat right here, this is as close as you were. I mean, this is it. And this was all part of the sail locker, and then it would fold down and make a V-berth here that was not very efficient. Wasn't a very good
Where
one.
did you get the foam?
I got all of my stuff from Sailrite.
Okay.
Everything.
Cool.
I got the foam from them. I got all the fabric.
And you have a Sailrite sewing machine.
Yeah, I bought a Ultra Feed.
Mine's going to be here on Tuesday.
They are amazing. They're heavy though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fantastic machine. And the really great thing about Sailrite is I had no experience, and you can go on their website or on their YouTube channel, and you can just learn how to do everything. I learned how to make these. I made these too. I mean, I learned how to make, slip covers for pillows and everything.
And these remind you of Montana, right?
Yeah, Wyoming, Montana. I grew up in Wyoming and lived in Montana for years, and my mom gave me this fabric, and it used to be curtains in her house.
Oh, very sentimental.
Yeah, everything on this boat, all the pictures, each one has. This is a picture by a guy named Podge Elvenstar in Maui, Hawaii, and he heard our story when we were in Maui after sailing 38 days offshore with the family.
Yeah.
And our boat's name was Wandering Dolphin, and so he gave us this. He gave me this.
Gave you that?
Yeah, and it's signed by him on the back, and it says to Wandering Dolphin family, and I thought it was pretty cool. So that's why this kind of crazy looking little painting is in such a cool spot.
It's awesome. My undergrad was painting.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I did my undergrad in studio arts with concentration in traditional painting.
Oh, that's cool.
And then my minor was art history.
Oh, right on. That's a huge difference from being a scientist, basically. And
then I did a master's in basically ecology, environmental studies with an emphasis in spatial ecology.
Oh, geez.
So mapping out species, and it's all very visual. And the most inspiring thing for me when I was doing art was wildlife, and so it's just.
So you still draw? Do you keep a scrapbook of wildlife that you draw? Oh, that's really cool.
I draw and paint a lot.
That's way cool.
I can't not. It's it's just ingrained now. So I first thing I noticed on here was all the little artwork and
believe it or not,
and the palm tree painting.
I'm getting ready to leave in just a couple of months, so this boat is almost ready to go, and so I've already added in all of the important artwork. My daughter painted this. This was a gift to my wife when we were on Water Island. a guy gave her that. He painted it.
Yeah.
And he lived on Water Island and gave that to her. And then these little paintings or little pictures are from way back before I sailed, before I learned to sail. And they were in my school classroom. I was a teacher, and they sat there, and they were my dream pictures. I would dream about being offshore and learning to sail, and yeah, it's kind of a cool thing.
So what do you got going on for the navigation?
So this was, I'm really proud of this actually, because North Sea 27s originally had a nav station, and it was designed for paper charts. You know, this is before we had such things as iPads. And so this used to be like a drafting table. It came up about like this at an angle like this, which was really great because it gave it extra depth. And this was such a small area to sit at that time. So unfortunately, you can't use a computer at it. You can't do anything now with a table like that. So I cut it all up and I rebuilt it as a table. And this comes out, opens up, and makes a very nice nav station. It still has a bit of an angle. I kept just a little bit of an angle, but not much, kind of like a school desk. And then that gave me all this room to put all of my electronics for navigation and whatnot. And on this boat, all of my navigation is wireless. It's all Navionics and iNavX. I use both systems, and it's on my computer, my iPad, and 2 phones. I use Vesper AIS. This is a Vesper XB8000 AIS, and it's wireless, and it pumps that AIS to all of my devices as well. And then my standard Horizon VHF radio here also connects to the Vesper and gives the AIS information and data to that, and it has a RAM mic that goes to the aft cabin as well, so the person in the aft cabin has access to all of that. Then I also have a wireless Furuno Watchmate radar, and that again wirelessly puts everything on all of my devices. So I have everything without having to have everything on one screen that's all wired in. Makes it very nice, makes it handy on a small boat especially. And then this is a single sideband radio. So I can actually, if I wanted to, I could go through all the steps to download weather and everything from single sideband as well. I don't, but
that's something I'm
also
definitely thinking about. I've heard great things about single sideband.
Well, you know, I think, you know, if the same amount of money you can get yourself an Iridium, and now the newest thing with Starlink is they've, you know, I don't know if you knew that they've connected with T-Mobile, and your actual phone will be able to connect directly to the Starlink satellites for basic downloads and stuff. So I also have an Iridium phone. I don't have the Iridium Go. I have just a regular Iridium phone, which I put 600 minutes on, and then you can upload with that as well, and get emails and whatnot. And texts are free coming in, and I like that Iridium phone because people can send me texts when I'm offshore. It beeps. I guess that's about it. I put my iPad on this RAM mount here, and then I've got another one that I can connect out in the cockpit for it. Yeah, but you just kind of carry your chart plotter around with you all the time, and it has AIS and everything on it. So
nice.
It's a pretty cool little nav station. I really like it.
Yeah. So I guess we're kind of going backwards of what I was initially planning, and we're starting at the bow and going to the aft. So your anchor chain is behind that door.
Yeah, that's the anchor locker up there, and it's a nice size little anchor locker actually. It's actually bigger than the anchor locker I had on Wandering Dolphin, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, it's a nice little anchor locker. And then this is full of tools right now. I'm mostly, you know, this is stuff that probably won't go with me this is my insert that I made for out here. It's pretty cool. It makes this into a nice little double bed area here. And that's something I did as well. I didn't, you know, it wasn't designed that way. And then I keep a couple of pony tanks for my dive gear. And then this is my dinghy motor.
Yeah.
Right here, my Timo electric outboard motor.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go check out his video on that because it's really cool looking, and I like the idea of it.
Yeah, it's super cool.
And what I thought was the most amazing about it was that the battery was inbuilt. Like, you don't have to carry a big 12-volt thing.
And it apparently it's supposed to go for like an hour.
That's enough to get to shore and back.
Yeah.
So.
You know, and then I'm gonna get a little solar panel that I can fold up and take with, and so when I'm on shore, I can just plug it in and let it charge, you know, at the dock.
And it does have a lock attachment.
It does.
So. Yeah. So I understand you've done a lot with the galley, and even had a fridge built. Like.
Yeah. Well, the boat had an ice box here, and I had a fridge custom designed and built by Frostline Marine Refrigeration in Bellingham. Great company to work with, by the way. But it's very efficient, super efficient. You can access it from the top or through the door. The fridge's guts are right down here.
Yeah, compressor or what is it?
That's the little air-cooled compressor. And my custom designed
for airflow.
Yeah, I did all these too. This is all woodwork that I did. It's not
and
perfect.
This is solid fuel?
It is, yeah. You can burn wood, charcoal.
Okay.
And it works great. It's a nice little fireplace.
Cozy.
Yeah, it works really good.
Nice.
And then I got my blender.
Oh, that's a
which you don't want to keep. You don't want to keep that here or the computer when you're using the stove.
No, of course not. No, it's still kind of in boat work mode, but it's a way better shape than mine.
And then this little cupboard back here has all the electronics for the nav station in it. And actually my GPS for my Vesper is in there too. So it isn't actually outside. It works fine through the hull. So I don't have to put another hole through the hull. And then, yeah, I got little things that I think are kind of cool, and you can still see wires because when I put the mast up, I have to wire my lights. But yeah, the little magnetic spice.
Oh, they're magnetic.
Yeah, and they're
and they clip
deals.
into like a little button there.
Yeah,
wow,
it's pretty cool. And then, yeah, of course, this concerns my family. They're a little concerned about my knife storage here, but I think it'll be fine. I'm not worried about it.
Cool.
Just a magnetic knife holder. And yeah, there isn't a lot of storage for plates. I've got my plates and bowls here and cups and a little coffee maker. And then these tiny little drawers, 3 tiny little drawers. And then I replumbed it so that the plumbing goes. So I replumbed it so that it just goes directly overboard, and on a port tack when I'm heeled over to starboard, there will be water coming up into the sink, but it's very easy to just close the through hull, and the trade-off, in my opinion, is worth it because it's very easy to clean out your galley sink, which gets filled with a lot of crap, you know. So offshore, this will be closed most of the time anyway. And then, yeah, I got these great little pan holders. I'm really a stickler offshore for things not making noise. So
I think it's good seamanship if you have things in their place,
everything
rattling around.
Everything should always have its spot.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, these are the sink.
Boatwork.
Full of crap. Yeah, both of these, you know, I made those to go in there, and they mount in really nice and tight. And then I've got this is to a little 12-volt pump to fresh water, and then this one is a hand pump for freshwater as well. And this actually comes from a tank for the water maker, which is a whole different thing. And then this is seawater pump, which is a foot pump. So I have all three here. And I easily have extra storage just by putting those guys back in. And then I do have also a propane stove and oven, which I know from your channel that you're going all electric with all of that, which I considered doing that myself. But a couple of things. I already had the propane stove and oven, and I kind of like having an extra way to do that. Plus, it's a small boat. I don't like carrying gasoline, so my generator, instead of a Honda generator, I'm buying one that is a multi-fuel generator, and it'll run off propane, so I don't have to carry any gas. I've got the electric outboard, so I don't need any gasoline or diesel on board at all. The only thing I'll have is propane. And that generator will be mounted off the back of the boat in a case, and it'll be there all the time. That'll be its place. And so, yeah, but I do have a little induction. You want to see it?
Yeah, sure.
I've got a little induction cooktop that I can...
Yeah, so I'm hoping to do a lot of my cooking on induction, but I will have, of course, I will have propane camp stoves and a diesel trip.
Yeah, so we're kind of doing it opposite. Your main stuff will be electric, and then you'll have a little gas one that you can use as well, like a jet boil or something.
Yeah, and I'll also have a bigger house bank though, so. Yeah,
a lot bigger, twice as big.
Yes.
As mine. Yeah. I mean, I have the two. You'll have 4 of those Battleborns. So I can still put it here on the gimbaled stove and plug it in, but
that's something I have to figure out, is how I'm gonna get my induction on a gimbal.
Yeah, that'll be kind of fun. You definitely will want that.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know when I'm gonna redo the galley.
You might just get a used stove that somebody will just give it to you, and then keep the frame like the guy on Tritea did. And he just basically kept the frame and just inserted a oven here and a stovetop induction, and it looks the same.
See, I'm basically, what I'm thinking of is I'm thinking of building a frame, and then I'm gonna have a microwave, a very small microwave, and put the microwave there and put another surface here that I can do some cooking and the induction.
So that's what I was gonna do, actually. That's what I thought about doing on this. But I would have done, they make a convection air fryer microwave. Does all of those. Brings us to this.
It's an air fryer.
This is my air fryer, right? When I got an air fryer in the house, I love air fryers, and this is just a great little air fryer. Works great. Yeah, so I can make stuff up here on my air fryer. And then this is the only hanging locker on the boat, and it's full of crap right now. This is where this will be the home for my BC and all my dive gear. So, and then the head.
Yeah, and when you were looking under the sink, I noticed one of the pipes was labeled water maker, and I was like, where do you put a water maker on a small boat?
We can switch places. You can, because really, and the water maker isn't formed yet.
So talk about the head a little bit.
Yeah, so I got a Nature's Head. I ordered a sea head, and the company, man, they took my money, no problem, but they never got back to me, and it went on and on for a long time, and they would not answer calls. I finally had to turn them in for fraud and get my money back.
Jeez.
So, and that's disappointing because they were smaller.
Yeah.
I should have done an airhead in here, because for this small of an area, I really like this. I like the Nature's Head. It's just built so nice. Mm-hmm. It's really a great little piece of equipment. But the airhead lifts up from the back like this to take the, and this one I have to disconnect it, which isn't a big deal.
Yeah. Pull
it out and lift it up. So,
interesting.
So it really, for this particular installation, it's probably better to use an airhead. And then water maker goes under there. It just needs to be plumbed.
And what kind of water maker is it?
It's a Catadyne Power Survivor 40E, which it's the one I had on my old boat. I've rebuilt it 4 or 5 times. It's great. It only makes a gallon and a half an hour, which isn't much, but it was enough for our whole family actually. It likes to be run. You tend to have less problems with them if you run them often. So I'd run this back in the day. I'd run it 4 or 5 hours a day with no problems for months.
And this is a really handy way to keep your tools. I'm jealous.
I'll tell you what, man, this is great.
Was this just a shoe, like a shoe organizer?
Yeah. And I'm gonna actually, now that I've got my sewing machine, I'm gonna redo this with nice canvas.
I was thinking of that. I was thinking
these are gonna wear out. These are gonna wear out. But yeah, to be able to reach in and grab your tools without pulling them out of a cabinet.
They're really nicely in there. Like, that's incredible.
And then also all my bigger stuff, like my socket wrenches, and this is all electrical stuff. This is all different fittings and fasteners, hole saw. I've got everything. Okay. Basically everything I need for tools is in one place, and it's all very accessible. You can grab a tool just like that. So that's a great thing. Okay. So this is my battery box that I built down here. It has 2 Battleborn batteries in it, and this is the access to the engine compartment and the bilge. And so I had to put my AC panel right down here, which I really don't like because it's directly under the water, but there's no other place for it. So that's about it for here.
All right, so we're going into the engine compartment, and so these are the drains from the cockpit.
Nope, those are the bilge pumps. So I added another. After almost sinking for a while, I added a spare manual bilge pump. So those big hoses are the manual bilge hoses. In the cockpit, I've got one on each side, a manual bilge pump.
I guess if I just looked down, I would have seen the gun going to the bilge.
Yeah. And then the little white one is an electric bilge pump.
Yeah.
And then the cockpit drains come from the sides.
Yeah, okay.
And I've got 2 48-volt banks there, one on each side, on starboard and on port. Each one is a 100 amp hour 48-volt bank, which gives me 200 amps of 48 volt, which is the minimum amount required for this motor. And obviously, it is not something that you're going to want to be, it's an auxiliary motor. It's not for going out motorboating.
No, electric motors have their purpose, and it's different from diesel. Diesel, you can motor for 20 hours. This will get you in and out of the marina.
Well, no, I mean, I can motor in the sun offshore. I can motor 24/7 at 2 knots.
Oh,
as long as I've got sun.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of somebody being able to sustain
as long
power.
as you've got sun. This will go all night at 2 knots, and then during the day it'll easily run. As long as the sun is out, I'll have enough solar.
And you've got
take care of that.
You've got a lot of Victron stuff.
Yeah, I went all Victron. I've got the Victron Multi Plus compact inverter there.
Yeah,
it's an inverter charger.
Wow.
So yeah, I've got my AC loads on that, it can handle pretty much everything I need, and that's all hooked up, of course, to my 12-volt bank, which is 200 amp hours of 12-volt Battleborn batteries as well.
And is this all propulsion bank, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Those ones are all the propulsion bank, and if you step out and just lift that right there carefully. You gotta,
carefully. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta hang on. It's gotta go like this. There we go.
Angled.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have the house bank here.
Yeah.
Sweet. And do you like the lithium so far?
Oh man, what a difference! Nice. It charges up like so much faster than our gel batteries we had on Wandering Dolphin. Everything about it is just, it's fantastic, actually.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, I really, really like it.
If I was designing this, I would put a gasket around
yeah,
here.
I'm going to.
Okay, cool.
It will have one. That's
I'm scared for you.
no, I've got to. I just haven't. That's one of the things I haven't done yet.
Cool. Awesome. And this is not the only cabin on the boat.
No, it's not.
That's
Isn't
incredible.
That crazy?
That's crazy.
You can see through. You can see the aft cabin through there.
There's the aft cabin back there, and we'll go take a look at that.
27-foot boat, and you can, your crew can be separate from you if they want to. They can get away from the irritating captain.
What? Okay, yeah.
Going back outside.
Yeah, it's a pretty cold day out here. We've been doing this, we've been talking inside the boat because it's like 35 out on my drive down, and kind of wet. So, I mean, the sun's out now, but it's just the dampness in the air will suck the life out of you here in Washington.
Me, anyway.
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm a pretty damp boy. 1 year ago, I was off the coast of Beaudelet, and that 3-part series I'd definitely recommend. Not my proudest moment, but definitely an interesting adventure if you want to see an island probably no one has ever filmed before. So
this is the cockpit. It's a really really great little cockpit for such a small boat. And I do have splash guards that come along both sides, and when they're up, it's really nice and snug in here. And this rolls up really easily.
yeah, I guess that's closed up, so it would feel bigger if
yeah,
that
I
was
mean,
open.
so all of these come off,
Yeah.
they're window covers, and this as well, so you can see the sails.
Did you have? Did you get this built, or did you?
No, this was on the boat. I re-sewed it all. It was all the thread was shot, so I re-sewed it all with my Sailrite machine.
Nice.
And it was the first thing I did, so you can see my stitching isn't fantastic, but
I'm not looking forward to
it's
my
all
first
right.
project.
I was pretty happy when I got it done.
And a nice sunroof.
Well, so this comes off so you can see the sails.
Oh, that's true.
When you're
Yeah. Oh, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to do that now.
Yeah, it's a handy little thing. And then I doubled this up because I'm putting a little water catchment thing here.
Yeah, oh, that's smart. Yeah.
And
That's real
this
smart.
originally didn't have any way to fill the tanks, the water tanks from the deck. So I installed one on each side. This one says waste and that one says diesel, but they're both water. I don't have waste and I don't have diesel on
That's
this
true.
boat.
This kind of simplifies things.
Yeah.
Sometimes those fittings are the cheapest. Like
These are my manual bilge pumps, and I added one. That was the one that was there before. That was the one that was there before.
yeah.
And I added one over here because that one failed on me. And so I like having a double.
So how many total bilge pumps do you have?
I have 2 manual bilge pumps and an electric bilge pump.
That doesn't answer my question. The answer's 3.
Yeah. Well, I figured you could add.
A lot of bilge pumps.
That's just a little lazarette.
It's cool though. It's cool though. It's interesting shaped.
Yeah, that's all you have for lazarette storage.
And you have enough space for a mizzen back here?
No. And actually the main sheet comes back here. So the boom,
Okay.
the main sheet attaches right here on each side.
Ah, okay.
And then my solar panels will be here. You'll have to have a catch-up video when it's in the water.
Yeah.
With the solar panels. And then I've got a monitor wind vane.
Okay, it's a monitor.
Yeah.
Cool. And yeah, you have a long tiller that attaches.
Yep.
from
Comes all the way
rudder.
up into here. And I've got a little auto helm autopilot as well.
Nice.
Which it looks like that's getting wet now.
Cool.
Got water in it. I'll have to deal with that.
And composite propane, which definitely is good for the marine environment.
Yeah, I like those. You want to go up on deck? Or?
Yeah, sure.
I'm also a big believer in having lots of handholds. So I added these 2 handholds to this, and then there's also another one right here. because when you're sailing, most of the time this is off, you know.
Yeah.
So I've got another one right there.
Yeah.
And then I'm adding one right here as well. So I'll have one in front too. So basically all the way around, because this is such a small boat, all the way around it, you'll be able to have a handhold.
This kind of is like one of the bigger structures on the boat that you would have to put your handholds on. So
yeah, there really isn't any good place to grab, you know, and it's such a small boat, you don't want to, you don't want to fall off the boat.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, that's rule number one. So
yeah, you know, the thing about the North Seas too is that everything was built for offshore, you know. It's that Lyle Hess design. Like this is, you know, I considered putting in glass or, you know, poly, yeah, but this gives you the light you need below, and it's just bomb proof.
And it's a nice warm light too. I had a hatch like that on my old Newport, except it was all just fiberglass, and it was like a nice warm yellow light in the V-berth, and puts you to sleep. It's nice.
Yeah, I like it. I'm not going to change it. And then my bowsprit.
Oh yeah, the infamous bowsprit.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched his series on building this thing.
Yeah, I built it from scratch myself, and not because I wanted to, but because it was going to cost so much to have it built. So yeah, I did it all myself. It's Douglas fir and teak.
Yeah, and this is a manual, and there's no electronics up here?
None.
Wow.
No electronics in the bow.
Amazing.
That was something I changed. Wandering Dolphin, we had electric windlass that I was always working on. It was constantly giving me problems because of, you know, the marine environment, and up here, especially on a small boat, this is going to be wet.
Yeah,
it's going to be a wet area, and you just, you know, eventually it's not working when you want it, and this will always work. So
yeah, I would love a good manual windlass. Sailing Magnolia, remember back to those episodes, I use a manual windlass to winch in that huge 50-foot boat like nothing. It's great.
Yeah, they work great. They're slower, you know.
Yeah.
And you got to just move your arm, but
of course, yeah.
And then this is strong enough, this Samson post, to pull the boat. It's got a big backing plate under there, and yeah, this thing, it's pretty great. So I am doing a Solent rig with this. Eventually, right now I was gonna go
look up at the mast.
Yeah, right. So I'll attach the head stay up there.
Yeah.
And it's all gonna be, there's gonna be no fittings going through. It's all gonna be Dyneema.
Yeah.
All the way.
That's right. Yeah, you're gonna go Dyneema.
Here and back and down. You know, I'll have a chain to the bottom to the bobstay, but yeah. So the head stay and then the Solent rig will be attached here. So I'll be able to do two, but that's not going to be original at the beginning. When I leave, I just don't have the time or the money to do that right now. So I'm just going to have a regular sloop rig when I leave. But
that's so exciting, and the boat looks great. I've seen it from
pretty dirty, but
from when you picked it up to now, it's pretty cool. Yes, the
aft cabin.
Yeah.
Someone asked me how much room there was. I said, just imagine a pup tent.
It's kind of like a large SUV, or a large SUV back.
Yeah, sort of. Right?
And yeah, so.
And I'm doing the cushions for here. They'll be the same as the other. And I'm redoing all the woodwork.
And here's the numbers.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and so he says he's gonna use storage back here, but
yeah, on that side.
But I mean, storage is over there right now, so I'm just gonna get comfortable in here. It's pretty relaxing in here. I like it.
Yeah, it's a nice little cabin actually.
It's very cozy, you know. And one of the things I like about sleeping on a boat is like that feeling of like cocooned, kind of.
Yeah.
So this definitely ticks that box.
Yeah, I really think that, you know, I like the aft cockpit version of the North Sea as well, but man, this having the ability to put your crew in their own little prison
Yeah. That's why you got the lock there.
And then here's the access. That's the other nice thing is you have access to the engine compartment from both ends. So there's my little electric yacht motor.
Do you know what model? QT?
I think it's the 10, Quiet 10.
Yeah, so I've got the QT20.
Yeah, this is the 10.
QT10
so it's
probably.
It's got the one motor, yours has two.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you pan down there to that cool little, isn't that wonderful, the Brunton's Sigma drive.
I'm gonna get me one of those.
It's like a little CV joint, so you don't have to align the motor exactly perfect.
And if you, I mean, it also seems like a good safety thing. If it becomes misaligned after your first passage, then
yeah,
you still can use it.
It's really handy. Did you want to show the
packing? Yeah,
packing gland?
I do.
This side, remember? Not there. This one.
Ah, yeah, it's farther back.
Yeah, just throw those over
There's so
here.
much space in here. I just can't find anything.
Yeah, right. See how nice and clean it looks too. I didn't even bother to paint it. I'm not gonna either.
It's nice. So this is because I watched his video about how he made it. I know all about packing glands. So this is a traditional pack with flax, and it has graphite in it. I think, right?
Yeah.
And so
Instead of flax,
it's not the dripless shaft, or the dripless.
but you can actually get a dripless packing for it that won't drip at all. And I don't have that in here, but you can. You can get, it's a silica, I think a silica based. But yeah, it won't drip at all if you do use that. I don't mind the little drip.
So these were just a mystery to me before I started working on my boat, because my old Newport had an outboard, and I had never done anything with inboard engines before, and all the boats that I was on, I never had to worry about anything engine-wise. I just would sail it, so rigging was fine. But so now I know that there are these cords of material in here. And so if you unscrew this, then you could put material in there, and that's called packing, I guess.
Yeah.
And
in an emergency, if it starts to leak, you could shove t-shirt material in there and lock it down if you had to.
And the biggest reason why I like this is because you can work on it underway. And fix a leak underway, and that is a huge deal to me.
Once a dripless seal goes, you can't fix it without hauling the boat. And I mean, the truth though is that those dripless seals, most boats use them now for crossing oceans, and you don't have any problems. And chances are, if you get a good dripless seal, you're not going to have any problem all the way across the ocean. So I don't want people to think that I believe that this is the only way to go or anything. It's just a choice I made because my dripless seal almost sank this boat. Yeah. And I don't want to ever have to deal with that again. Had I had a flax packing gland back here, I could have stopped that and we could have continued our voyage. So that it's a choice I make considering the type of sailing I'm doing. I just don't want to deal with it.
And so because this used to be a diesel, there's enough space down there for fuel, and you've done some things with that.
Yeah. I turned the diesel tank into a storage compartment. You don't really have to take all that out or anything.
No.
It's just I put 3 access lids, and I just lash them down. I don't have any fancy. That's what that rope is. I don't have any fancy.
Pop clips
or anything. Yeah. I just lash them down.
Cool.
So
salty.
If I ever flip over, then I'm not going to worry about that. At that point, I'll have plenty of other things to worry about besides the fact that all the stuff in the diesel tank might.
I think that's something that most people don't think about is when they're designing a boat, designing it to be able to flip over and not destroy everything.
Well, I think you should, but there comes a point on a small boat like this where there's only so much you can really do. You have to have storage for stuff as well.
Well, the reason why I say that is because one of my friends has a Seafarer 36, the same kind I do, and underneath his diesel engine, there's like thousands of pounds of lead fishing line, like that's not clipped into anything.
Yeah.
And so if he flipped or even was on a big tack and that slammed into the bottom of everything in there, you'd be lucky if you didn't pop anything or just completely destroy the whole thing. Like,
Yep. Well, that I'll be completely transparent. If that happened with this, I'd be in trouble as far as that stuff goes, because it would destroy everything in there, because I've got 50 pounds of rocks in there.
Oh, really?
On the very bottom. Just I put them in there just to keep the water that runs through there to the bilge.
50 pounds is not bad. Thousands of pounds of lead weights, right. I think, is terrifying.
Yeah, it's just the bottom. The bottom is river rock, just to keep stuff from sitting in water down there. But
you've been offshore a hell of a lot more than I have, and so you know the risk of pitch pulling type stuff and how to mitigate that. I just want to plan for things like like overly, and then I'll probably relax a little bit. I'm a big believer in seamanship and preventing that from happening. And in a situation on this little boat, if I was getting into that kind of storm, which could happen, but I'm avoiding the hurricane belt. I think that's my offshore rule number one, is not to be in the zone offshore during the season. But if I did, I would put out a sea anchor on this, and I would ride it out heave to with a sea anchor and not sailing. Yep. So, yeah. On this boat. Now, Wandering Dolphin was different. Like to run with it.
Yeah, we'd run, but not on this boat.
Nice. Well, they're waterproof.
Yeah, they are.
Little aquariums all around.
Yeah.
Just goes to show how wet it is here in Washington.
The water sits in there. I could have a little goldfish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude.
Little goldfish.
I mean, at some point, crossing the ocean, I'm sure you're gonna have some
I'll probably
fish.
have squid sitting in there.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Flying fish.
Oh, my gosh. I cannot wait to see my first squid on my boat. That's something that, like, it's weird to be excited about, but, like, that is one of the most exciting things for me is to experience that thing that other sailors outside of the Sound get to experience.
Flying fish.
Flying fish.
People don't eat them. I eat them every time I find them on deck. People don't eat them. They taste great.
Okay.
Yeah, I grab them, take them off the deck, throw them right in the pan.
I might try them because
they are wonderful. They're so good. Every time I watch a sailing video and they're tossing those
free food.
Man, what are they doing? Eat those fish. Unless they've sat there too long,
Yeah. Baked. Rotted. Well, I think after this we're gonna go check out my boat, and that'll be on your channel.
That'll be on my channel.
So, is there anything else you want to talk about? We've been pretty thorough.
No, I think we're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, go check out the next video on his channel.
Sailing Vessel Mig.
Sailing Vessel Mig. Yes, and I'll have it linked in the description, so you can find it very easy. All right, see you there.